Okay, we are on Daf Mem Aleph, Amud Aleph, but we're really this is going to start from Mem Amud Beis. We'll start at the very bottom of 40b, Mem Amud Beis, just because I have to make my teeth, just to keep the flow of things. Also lose track here. So yeah, so okay, just give me a second. Sorry, this tea is my lifeline, especially when I have a cold. Oh, thank you. Thank you, but appreciate it. Okay, so I'll tell an inspirational story, hopefully inspirational. Hope you'll be inspired. Before we start. Okay. So a Jew, a religious Jew, is in court for whatever reason. Always Jews, yeah. I know it's not a story about Jews. I mean, was in court, and he saw another Jew that looked super religious, somewhat affiliated, and he saw he was very distraught, pacing back and forth. So he asked him, could I help in some way? Not, there's nothing you do. So please, just tell me what's going on. Maybe I can at least help you with your burden, and you share your story. Because, I'm a political activist. I don't know what country this took place in, I don't know. But he's a political activist, perhaps the United States. And a certain politician who I was involved with, they did a investigation. This guy's in trouble for breaking the law in every way possible. And since I'm affiliated with him, there's some sort of guilt by association. So I'm getting they're throwing the book at me. I tell you I'm innocent, but doesn't look good at all. So he says, I see you're Jewish. Why don't you pray? He says, I can't pray. I can't ask God for anything. So, what do you mean you can't ask God? You can ask whatever you want. Because, years ago, he says, my daughter was very sick. Not super religious. I prayed to God. I said, God, I'm never going to ask you anything again in life. Just this one. Please heal my daughter and let her get better. And then I won't ask for anything again. This is the last thing I'm going to ask you. And he really, really prayed to God. And God healed his daughter to a complete recovery. I said, I can't ask God for anything again. I told him I'm never going to ask you anything but this. Is the last thing I'm going to ask you. It's the only thing I'm going to ask you, nothing else. And then says, yeah, that's true, but that's not what God wants from you. He gave you your wish, but he wants you to Christ. He couldn't get over it. He said, listen, there's a synagogue around here. Why do you come with me instead of pacing back and forth? We're just going to say Tehillim together. We'll say Psalms together. And no prayers. Just come and say Tehillim. They sat down with the man, said Tehillim like you're supposed to. They said dark sign, as they say in Yiddish. He said to them, no prayers, just said it over and over again. And really, from his depth of his heart and soul. He goes to court. Finally, he has his hearing with the judge. The judge looks through his papers. He flicks the papers. What kind of case is this? The man didn't do anything. Dismissed. Next case. And that's it. He was off the hook. So I think the message is sometimes we underestimate how much Hashem cares about us. And even if we think, I asked for my last favor already. I'm not really holding my favors, but Hashem still listens and is always there for us, and not just is able, but is waiting, as I say, with bated breath for us to call out. Okay, so that's our story for today. Now let's get on to the Gemara. So we discussed a new concept, new for this Gemara anyway, the concept of Shavuos Hasis, which is sort of an introduction to the concept of Shavuos D'Rabbanan. We discussed previously Shavuos D'Oraisa, and we were discussing one variety, Shavuos Dayanim, the ones that the judges make him take. We talked about Modav Mikzas, person who partially admits, and then he has to swear that he does not own the other half, so he does not have to pay that other half. And so we introduced the concept of Shavuos Hasis. This is an institution of the Rabbanan, a Gezerah de Rabbanan in the time of Rav Nachman, so it seems, according to most Rishonim. And initially, the Gemara said, Rav Nachman said that if a person says, you owe me X and Y, Z, X, Y, and Z, you're holding on to my X, Y, and Z, and the person denies it flat out, so the person would have to take the Shavuos Hasis. We have a different version of how we learn it, of that, and we're going to do that right now, just very briefly, and then we're going to discuss, for the majority, one of the things we're going to discuss is the distinction between Shavuos D'Oraisa and D'Rabbanan. if an oath is mandated from the Torah versus one that's mandated by the rabbis. That's going to be a good part of today. So let's start Daf Mem Amud Beis just to get us into the flow here. The short flow, but today hopefully we'll get to the end of the beginning of Mem Aleph Amud Beis, just 2 lines, so we can have like an official stopping point. That makes things a little bit easier. I'm going to try to do that. Okay, so we're the third to last line, or the last narrow line in Daf Mem Amud Beis 40b. Is Rabbi Chaviva Masni Aseifa. He learns into it, perhaps you would say, the Shavuos Heses, the oath that's mandated by the Rabbanan, the rabbis, in the following case, Aseifa, in the case of the Seifa. What's that case? Manali biyadcha, not that's exclusive, just that's where he states it. Aseifa, manali biyadcha, because says, you're holding on to my money. Amrlo, hey, you're right, I owe you money. I'll take care of it. Machar Amrlo, Taneuli. The next day, he says, well, so now pay me. And he says, Nasati v'lacha. I said, I already paid you back. Pater. He is absolved of his obligation. And Amar Rav Nachman, this is where Rabbi Chaviva says where Rav Nachman made a statement about the Shua D'Rabbanan, Shuas Heses, one type of Shua D'Rabbanan. Mashbiyan also Shuas Heses. We make him take this Shua D'Rabbanan to say that he in fact did pay up. That's it. Okay, just a different stress, different place where Rav Nachman made his statement. Different case. So 2 different cases. So Gemara says like this: Man de masni aresha, the one who learns that Rav Nachman said we make him Shuas Heses in the case where he says just plain denial. You owe me money, I don't. So the one who says that kol sheken aseifa, then certainly in our case, in the second case. Why? Because the second case, as Rashi says, last Rashi, the ha'odile alav, he admitted to him that he owes him the money. He just denies and says he paid it back. V'ika dror d'mamona. There is, as Rashi, Likutei Rashi from Bab Metzia says, chisar and mama. He already agreed to pay him. He already agreed to pay him, just a lack of the money that he actually gave over.
What is the definition of
Heses? It means that's a good question. It means a shua d'Rabbanan. There's different interpretations of the Rishonim. What's the word Heses mean? It comes to the word, according to Rashi, it's based on a pasuk in Shmuel, Im Hashem hisitcha bi, like placed it upon me. The Rabbanan placed this shua on you. That's
Hashem's name.
That's a good question. But it's a good.
If it doesn't include Hashem's name, then it's a nothing.
Well, it's a good question. Well, first of all, according to the Rashba, you don't necessarily need to have Hashem's name. According to the other Rishonim, you do. I have not seen it yet. It's good. I'll take a look. Good question. This is not the official. We're going to discuss Shuas Heses more. I'm a little bit ahead, not too far. In the next parak, we'll discuss all the rules of Shuas D'Rabbanan. We'll hopefully get to it. Hopefully, I have an answer for you. We will look at Tosfos today. Mitzvah Hashem. It discusses another distinction between the normal D'Oraisa, the biblical oath, where you have to hold a Torah or tefillin or something like that, hold the Torah, let's say, and the Rabbanan, whether you do or not, whether you have to hold the Torah when you make the official oath in court. So we're going to go through and see distinctions. Today, we're going to see a whole list of distinctions between the two. And hopefully we'll get to that good question you're asking. Hopefully I'll have an answer for you as we go through. So it says, Kol Sheken Aseifa. So flip to the next page, 40, Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, 41a. Got that right? I think they taught me what the mathematical equivalent of the letters are. But the one who learns that Rav Nachman said on the Seifa, in other words, the case where he says, give me back my money, he says, yeah, I owe it to you. And tomorrow he says, now pay up. And he says, I already did. That specific case is where Rav Nachman says, you make him take a Shuas Heses, an oath, a rabbinic oath. It's specifically here where there is a lack of money, where he already admitted to the money. Just question is whether he gave it, so therefore there's more reason to make him take this oath. Aval Hassam, but by the first case, where he just flat out denies it. Give me my money, and he says, no, I don't have your money. We don't necessarily know that. Hassam to lekadra law. Perhaps when there's no sort of lack of money or claim of money, like official, that's not the right word, admittance of money, perhaps he would not make him take that oath. So we'll see. I'll have to hold on to the idea, but that's the concept. But there is this case, there's this concept as a Shua D'Rabbanan. There's multiple Shavuos Darabanan. We're going to learn that in the next parak, the seventh parak. Bezrat Hashem, Kol Nishbain. Not too far off. All the different types of Shavuos Darabanan. And we'll, for now, we're introducing the first one called Shavuos Heses to be discussed further as we go along. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to continue and discuss the distinctions between a Shavuos Darabanan and D'Oraisa. One that's rabbinically mandated, one that's biblically mandated. Okay, so third line from the top, third word in.
In this case, we just learned that if someone denies completely that I don't owe you money, end the case.
So yeah, it depends. It's
taking
no, sure. Yeah. Shavuos Heses. Yeah. Well, no. So if a person, the Araisa in Kirat, there's cases we're not talking about motive mixas. There's no partial admittance. There's no aid, one witness. So that's why we're coming on to the concept of Shua D'Rabbanan. There's no biblically mandated Shua here. No. Therefore, that's the question. When do we put this Shuas Heses on? The way we're originally learning, it sounds like when there's a complete denial, he would make this oath, a rabbinic oath. And the way the second way we're learning it, perhaps not. Perhaps only when he had already admitted, but then denies and says he paid up. Perhaps that's when the oath takes place. But we'll have to hold on to that thought as we continue. Okay, so we're now the third line from the top, third word in. So the Gemara asks the question: What's the distinction between a biblically mandated oath and one that is mandated from the rabbi? Okay, one is called mefach shua, which means flipping, so to speak, the shua. Let's just see Rashi. Shua d'oraisa, which one are we talking about? Habab mixas taina, person who motive mixas, he admits partially. Shua d'Rabbanan, what's that? Hadrav Nachman. The Shavuos Heses. What's the distinction between the two? Rashi says, Meifach Shvua, Im Amar HaNitva, L'Tovea, Ashava V'tol. See, normally we would say to the person who's denying the claim, you take a Shua. And the guy says, he doesn't want to take a Shua. Sometimes we would, or can't take a Shua, we'd flip the Shua to the other guy, back to the other person. Not to the person who supposedly owes money, but the person who's claiming that he is owed money. So let's read on side. What's the distinction between a shua on the level of the Torah and one from the rabbis? When it comes to Rabbanan, the first one, the person who claims can't or doesn't or won't, as we'll discuss, swear. So we say, so you're the guy who's claiming the money. You swear that he indeed does owe you money. They flip it to the other side. We'll see this concept later with someone who's unable to take a shua because he's chashud, he is suspected to swear falsely. That's the concept. So what's the distinction between, how come by a shua d'oraisa we can't flip it to the other side, and the Ramban we can't? So the Ramban says the reason is because the oath from the Torah is mandated by the Torah. The Torah says a person comes to court, it says you owe me 100 shekel, and the person denies it. It says I have one witness to say you do. So that one witness can make him swear. So who swears? The person who supposedly owed the money. That's the Torah says. So you can't flip it. It's the Torah says so. But when it comes to the Rabbanan, where the Rabbanan institute the oath to assure that things are true and correct. So the Rabbanan say if Mr. A, the person who's claiming the money can't swear, the person who's supposedly owes the money can't swear, the person who's supposed to get the money should swear. The Rabbanan, they can do that. But they're right, so they instituted who swear. The Gemara continues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines down. Big little line. Ulamar Baravashi. Amar b'diraisa nami mafchinan shua ma'ika ben diraisa l'derbanan. Now, according to Mar Baravashi, Mar the son of Ravashi, holds that even in a case of diraisa, whether he's biblically mandated to take it on, we can also flip the oath. We can make it not the person who supposedly owes the money. Even the person who's supposed to get the money can take the oath. So what's the distinction? In both cases, you can flip the oath from the parties. You can make the other party take the oath. So what's the distinction between the Arais and the Rabbanan? The distinction between them is michas lenichse, and whether we can go down to his property and actually collect the money, as Rashi says, third Rashi. Im amar eni nishba, eni mishalim. So I'm not going to swear, and I'm not going to pay either. Well, if you don't swear, then you have to pay. That's the rules. For example, by one witness. Rashi says, "Yordun lechasev v'nos l'zeh." They go court. The court goes down and takes his possessions. So when do we do that? When do we not do that? So ikbinayu, as you said, michas lanichse. B'dioraisa, in a case where he's biblically mandated to take this oath, and he's, for example, there's one witness who says that he does in fact owe the money, and he refused to pay, and it's a biblically mandated dioraisa oath. So nichse l'nechase. The court sends their appointees down. They they come and collect his 50 shekel worth of stuff. And the Rabbanan, by a case where the oath is only mandated from the rabbis, lo nichsinan lenichse. We don't go down and collect from his property. We don't collect it up. He refused to swear. He didn't swear. That's it. That's as far as we go. Okay, so far so good. Okay, but we're going to ask another question. Will Rav Yossi? But according to Rav Yossi, Da'amar b'derabbanan nami nichse, nachsinam nichse. According to Rav Yossi, he says, even in the case of the Rabbanan, even in the case when the oath is only a derabbanan oath, like a Shavuos Hasis, we would only make him, we would also go down to his property, and we're going to explain that. So then we have another problem before I continue. So what's the distinction? He says, according to Rav Yossi, assuming we say that you can flip the oath, assuming that you can even go down and take from his property, collect from when he doesn't want to swear, by case of the Rabbanan, what's the difference? So first we're going to discuss how we know that. How do we know that Rav Yossi holds that by the Rabbanan, even by a case of the Rabbanan oath, an oath that's mandated at the level of the rabbis, from the rabbis, that you would have to go, that they would go and collect from your property. Titnan, as we learned in a Mishnah, in Bab Mitzvah, apparently. Mitzias cher shvod v'katan. A deaf mute, a fool, like someone who doesn't ruins his property, doesn't take care of it. The katan, in a katan, a youth, a minor, that's the word I'm looking for. Even though yesh b'hem gezel b'mnei darkei shalom. Now, if they find something, they don't really have possession of it. So in theory, they don't really take ownership, so you can, in theory, take it from them. This chayra shot v'katan, this deaf mute, a fool and someone who's not intellectually functioning, and a minor. But because of darkei shalom, in order to create peace in the world and not create serious problems, they say that that a person, if a chayre shota or katan finds something, an aveda, and you take it away from them, it's considered stealing. Rav Yossi Amar Gezel Gomer, it's full-fledged stealing. What does that mean? Amar Rav Chisda Gezel Gomer Midivrayim. It's considered full-fledged stealing derabanan. Lamai nafkmina. What are you telling us? It's full-fledged stealing derabanan if you take it away from the chayre shota or katan. What does that mean? Laotza b'dayanim. That the court, the judges, the court can go and take it back. They have the power. So we see, what do we see from that? Something according to Rav Yossi, on the level of a derabanan, the court will, the dayanim will go and take the property away to get back what is owed. So to here, by a shua diraisa, let's say derabanan, sorry, according to Rav Yossi, that if you don't want to swear, let's say there's one witness who says you owe money, and you don't want to swear, so you would, they say to pay up, and if you refuse to pay up, according to Rav Yossi, the Rabbanan will go, the judges will go down and send people to go down and collect their money. So there doesn't seem to be any distinction between the two. According to Rav Yossi, they're not both dioraisa or derabanan, both on the biblical and rabbinic oath. You would flip the oath to the other party if one party doesn't want to swear, and also you would go down to his property, both for a biblical or a derabanan oath, if he doesn't want to swear and doesn't want to pay up. So we have to make him pay up, so we go down to his property and collect it. So what's the distinction between the diraisa and the derabanan? So ma'ikabein diraisa l'Rabbanan, ikabeinayu. Distinction is kenegdo chashed al shua. When the party who wants to swear is chashed al shua, he has a track record to not swear, or there's a strong reason to think that he's not going to swear falsely, so we don't make him take an oath. The diraisa kenegdo chashed al shua apchinam le shua usama idach. We sort of reverse it and make the other party take the oath. Like, let's say the person's claiming, you owe me 100, and there's one witness that says so, and the other guy who he wants to get the money from is a well-known dishonest fellow. So he's kosher al shul. We suspect he's going to swear falsely. So he doesn't swear that he doesn't owe 50. The person who wants to get the money swears 50. But b'derabanan takantahi. But by a case of a derabanan oath, um, as Rashi says, takantahi shuas atzma shel heses. Takanti. It's a shuas heses by case of the derabanan oath. He says he denies the whole thing, for example, to begin with the derabanan. And let's say the other party who he's claiming the money from is a dishonest fellow. They're afraid he's going to swear falsely, so they don't make him swear. But the kanta law of dinan. So we don't make a takana to takana. We don't say this whole shua derabanan is a takana to begin with, is a rabbinic enactment in the first place. So we don't make an additional enactment on that enactment to say that, well, the other party can't swear because he's a suspect to swear falsely. So you, Mr. Claimer, you go ahead and you make you take the oath. We don't make that. We don't make that. We don't make a takana. We make a double takana. That's why. So according to Rabbi Yossi, that would be the distinction between the two. According to Rabbi Yossi, by the Araisa, whether someone is suspect, for sure we make a take an oath. We make the other party take the oath. By the Ramana, we don't. Yes, sir. Right.
They find something here.
Right.
Which, something that they have to announce. To get yelling about. Doesn't say whether there's a siman or there isn't a siman.
Right.
I'm making the assumption. There is.
No, it would be something that he found and he could keep. I mean, that's whatever the case may be. It's something without a sign, like let's say it's money, that something of that nature, or something that.
It's not biased.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone took that from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So the question is, if the share shot of a katan don't get true possession of the item, if you snatch it from them, in theory it should be yours because of darkei shalom. In order to create shalom in the world, the Rabbanan enacted the takana that you can't do that. Rabbi Yossi said if you do it, it's real. It's like a real gazela d'Rabbanan, the fact that we go down to your property and get it back from you. Yeah, there's a certain concept. So when some things are d'Rabbanan, we don't necessarily we just leave things status quo. Don't yes, not no. So here, Rabbi Yossi says we do. That's the distinction between the two in those two cases. Okay. Right. Okay, Takanta Lovdina. Okay, so before we go on, just a quick question. So we discussed, right. Right. So there's Machlokas, Rashi, and Rif. I have to remind myself of it. Yes. Okay, so we discussed the concept of Mepach Shua. Yeah. So we discussed the concept of Mepach Shua, the concept of flipping a Shua to the other party. So the person is claiming the money because maybe the other person is suspect or he doesn't want to take a Shua. We'll discuss different cases as we go on here. Now we're talking about a very specific type of Shua d'Rabbanan, a Shua called the Shua Heses. It's one type of Shua d'Rabbanan from the rabbis. We'll discuss there are other types of Shua d'Rabbanan. Now we said, assuming that one can flip the Shua, let's say that, or one can't, this whole discussion about flipping the Shua to the other party, does that only apply to Shua Heses, this type of Shua d'Rabbanan, or does it apply to other types of Shua d'Rabbanan also? That we'll discuss in the next pair. The Rashi says yes, they do. According to the Rif, no, it's unique only to this pair. That's only unique to this particular type of shua. Take a drink here. Okay, good. Okay. So fine. So now we are about halfway down. I forgot, as usual, to highlight the screen here. Apologize to those watching the recorded version. Not my great strength. Okay, let me just enlarge this a bit, a little bit small. Okay, that's better. Okay. Okay, ulu derabanan. Now, what did we say before? I'm just going to take a step back for a second and ask the following question. We said before, it says ulu rabbanan. What did the rabbanan say before? Um, so let's read them time. Right in the middle, about halfway down, it says of the narrow line, so halfway down. Ulu rabbanan is the first one of the line. Ulu rabbanan the pligi ale de Rav Yossi. The Rabbanan are going to Rabbi Yossi, as what case is this talking about? As Rashi says, Gabi mitzias chereshot v'katan, when a chereshot v'katan, a deaf mute, a fool or a minor, finds something that they could keep. The Rabbanan argue on that. Rabbi Yossi says we go down to the property and we take it back, even though it's Rabbanan. Level of Rabbanan, you can go collect from the person's property. The Rabbanan made a takana. You can't take something away from a shot v'katan, chereshot v'katan that they took. If you do, you do take it, we go down to your property and collect it or its value, whatever. We're abanon the pliga le'reyosi. Damar the rabbanon lo nachsidam menechse. The rabbanon say in such a case, they say that according to in a case of a rabbanon oath, or rabbanon case rather, this is a case, not an oath. We don't go down to your property to collect. So this person stole something on the level of the rabbanon, on a rabbinic level, and from a chayra shot of a katan. According to Rabbi Yossi, you take it back. You take his value back. What do the Rabbanan do? You just let him get off free for that? What do we do to him? So the Gemara says, Mashmitan. We put him in Chayram. We excommunicate him permanently until he pays up. That's a pretty serious deal. Because that means he can't get an aliyah, he can't do business, you have to keep your distance from him. Pretty serious punishment. Today we don't appreciate that, especially if you live in Chutz La'aretz, jump around communities or we don't fully understand what that means, but you live way back when you become like a leper, almost. It's a pretty serious punishment. That's a very serious punishment. That's what we do to him. So Amrle Ravina Ravashi. Ravina said to Ravashi. This is also a very late discussion in the Gemara. This is Ravina Ravashi. Very, very late discussion in the Tkufa of the Gemara. Ravina Ravashi. Hai nakte bichovse dinashavke leglimahu. He says to him, what you're doing to him is very severe. You are, the Rav Yossi says if he doesn't give back the found property, this found item that the Cheir Shad couldn't keep, Rav Yossi says you go down, the Bezdin sends their court appointees to come collect it or collect its value. And the Rabbanan, we said, say you put him in excommunication, which is extremely harsh. It's such a harsh punishment. It's like almost forcing him to pay it back. Maybe the point, but we wouldn't do such a thing. It's such an extreme case. And the Gemara says, what's it like? It's so extreme, it's forcing him to give him absolute no choice but to pay back. It's like nakte b'kose neshafte l'glimo. As Rashi says, a very extreme example, Rashi says it. Ochso lebeitzav, tolimbo, ad sheyitin lo talashala. He grabs him by the vuvusha, by his testicles, until he's forced to give the cloak back. It's like you're doing something so harsh to him. It's a pretty graphic example where it gives, but that's you're giving him such a good slap on the face. You almost give him no choice but to give it back. Excommunicating him, that's so extreme. Of course he's going to. That's not the Rabbanan do. So Amar le Ravina Ravashi, it's Ravina. Wrong line. Ella my avdina lay. Sorry, it's just we're about the first one line is who, second one is Ella. Ella my avdina lay. What do we do to him? Rav Yossi says he stole it from the Cheir Shad v'Katan. Go get it. What do the Rabbanan say? What do we do to sort of, punish him until he does the right thing? Amar le mashmitan le adamati le ati mati's man. Okay, we excommunicate him, but only for 30 days. Gets excommunicated for 30 days, not the full lifetime money back guarantee. Not the full deal. Just gives 30 days. Then the Nagdinale, then we give him makos, we flog him, the Rabbanan. That's pretty bad. That sounds like you're forcing him. Vishafkinale, and then we leave him alone. So we don't quite the Rabbanan. The point is that according to the Rabbanan, we don't have the authority, the Rabbanan, to go and take the Aveda back from the person who took it from the Cheir Shad v'Katan. We don't give him such a harsh punishment that he's forever excommunicated for life, give him something that really kind of, give him quite a nudge. We excommunicate him for 30 days and then whip him, and then, if that didn't work, then that's what we can do, and that's it. I know. Okay. Okay.
It's like the Rabbanim are doing nasty things to make him pay.
Yes. Yes. Getting whipped is no picnic.
Buster implies grabbing his private parts.
Yeah, that's what they said it's like. It's like, don't actually do that, but it's like that.
So they're forcing him to either swear or pay.
Right. Right. It's pretty.
Private
But-
part.
Yeah.
So use private part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Fine.
If we write this to say, so he stuck a gun to his head and said, please pay it back when it's convenient for you. Yeah, that's, you give him no choice. It's
And that it was up for a get years ago.
oh yeah. Tough so it's done already. But why? Because every Jew really wants to do the right thing. So yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're up to our Papa here. This is the next section here. It's about let me just highlight it properly here. Rav Papa. There we are. Take us down to the next section. Oh, that idea. It must have been. It must have been. I know. It must be. Yeah. 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 It must have been something that some people did to get their items back. Yeah. Give me back my whatever you're holding on to. Yeah.
They must have had down to the road yesterday.
Yeah. Unpleasant way to handle the situation. Yeah. Okay. 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 So let's take a look before we move on to our Papa to the second Tosfos. Second Tosfos asks a question. He says, we brought a couple distinctions between Ashura D'Orais, Ashura D'Rabbanan, rabbinical or rabbinic oath. So Rashi, Tosfos quotes Rashi, says there's another one. It's the second Tosfos, about fourth line in. Perish bekuntris, the nafkamine b'diaraisa boy leminkat chefza bidei, the Rabbanan lo boy. Rashi said that when you take the shua on the Torah, we'd have to hold the Torah, and by the Rabbanan, a rabbinic oath, he would not. But Tosfos agrees with that. He talks about a shua. Just find where they answered later on towards the end. Says shua d'almana, shua d'Rabbanan. He the boy. It says the boy ankute chefza biyode afal gab the shua d'almana shua d'Rabbanan. It says he brings a riot from a shua by an almana. Never the case over there. That which is only an oath rabbinic, and he still has to hold on to the Torah. So Rashi seems to say by a shua, an oath d'Rabbanan, you would not have to hold the Torah, and Tosfos seems to say yes, but yeah, there's some further clarity. That's just an interesting point. Okay, so let's go to Rav Papa. It's about it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, the last narrow line. First one on the line is lay, lamed, right in the middle. Rav Papa. Rav Papa. Hayman da afik shtar al chabre. A person has a shtar. He produces a shtar on his friend that says, you owe me 100 shekel, and he has it signed, a document, a contract to sign with witnesses on the document. That's a paid up shtar, already paid you back with it. So I'm reading lay, lav kol kaminach, zil shilim, shalim. We don't believe you. You're not saying something of substance, pay him back. Okay, that's pretty clear. But we say, Vim Amar, Nishtabali, and if he says to the person who's claiming the money from him, swear to me that I do still owe you the money, it's not paid up. You say, no, go ahead, yes, do in fact swear, which is interesting chiddush, interesting concept. You would think that the person holding the shtar sign does not have the burden of proof, and doesn't make him pray. But if the other party says, swear to me that I did not pay you back, like my claim, he does swear to him.
Sam, if you've got a star saying that it's been paid, because when the creditor holds the star, when it's been paid, he gives it to the one who he's lent the money to.
Right.
So therefore, it's got a star that's been paid. Why does he have to pay again?
Well, he doesn't
Unless
have.
it's a
Why
false
doesn't
one.
he swear again? Let's not swear. Why could the other party make him swear? No, the Reuven is holding a contract with witnesses that says Shimon owes him 100 shekel.
Right.
He says, "You owe me 100 shekel." He says, "Sorry." He says, "I paid it up." He has to pay back. But there's a caveat. If he says, "I'll pay you back, but swear to me that I do owe it to you," we make him swear. But only if he makes that statement. He doesn't say that at all. He just has to pay. Once he makes that statement, "I'll pay you back, but swear to me that I owe it to you," in fact, then he has to take that oath.
But this is saying that Shimon lent Reuben money, right? And Reuben's got a star saying that it's been paid.
No. It's got a star. It's got an open star.
It's got an open star.
Right. Yes.
The debt is still there.
Yeah. It hasn't paid. He says.
So what's written on the star?
It says you owe. It's a full valid contract that says he owes him 100 shekel, and the other party's claiming that he paid him back already. Now it's kind of an introduction to the next subject. That's probably why they put it in. But that we understand. The question is why. We see this concept of flipping oaths.
Money was paid, the creditor failed to cancel the star. That's also a possibility. But here, the case talking about here is that the star debt is still valid. So the claim, not the star, goes to bed.
Oh, yes, so you back to Shimon. No, yeah. Right, yeah.
The other guy's saying, no, I did pay you.
Yeah.
You're the crook
Yeah.
because you didn't give me back the star. Whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yes, I did pay you.
Yeah.
So I'm going the other way. So here, this is trying to protect a defendant from a crooked payment.
Yeah.
If you work both sides, the payment can be a nasty one.
Yeah.
And defendants can also be
Right.
nasty.
Right.
Work either way. So this is
Right.
what we're trying to work out.
Right. We had that.
There's procedures
Right.
to get to the truth.
Yeah. We had such a svar earlier. I forgot who said it. Yeah. Usually there's a var of two parties. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Rabbi says if he requests an oath that the person who has the contract swears to him that he still owes, he has to make the oath. So, Amr of Acha Bered the Rav Ashi. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, ninth to last narrow line, right in the middle. Amr of Acha Bered the Rav Ashi. Rav Acha, the son of Rava, said to Rav Ashi, Ma ben ze lepogim eshtara. What's the difference this between this case and someone who is pogim ishtar? So let's explain that. If someone is pogim ishtar, he's holding a star that says, Reuben's holding a star for a contract that says Shimon owes him 100. He says this half of this is paid up. He only owes me 50. Okay? In that case, the owner of the star has to take an oath that in fact it's true. It says there's something wrong with the star already. So he has to take an oath. So we say in our case, the person is holding a legitimate, 100% legitimate star, right? Legitimate contract. But we still say the other guy can make the owner of the star, the owner of the contract, swear that he's owed the money. And if in that case, he has to take an oath, where it's a legitimate, 100% legitimate contract. And certainly in the case where he's holding a contract, a star that says 100, and he qualifies so that, oh, this really was paid up half, and then certainly that has to pay up. So what is that telling us? Why do we have to learn that?
This is the Hesed.
This is by just a regular, ordinary star. It's a regular star. Someone's holding first case, our case, is someone's holding a regular star. Contract, this is 100 shekels owed, signed by witnesses. He shows it to the party, you owe me 100 shekel. He says, I paid it. They say, there's a star you have to pay. So he says, no, make him swear to me. The owner of the contract swears to the other guy. Even though it's 100%, seemingly 100% valid contract. So it would seem on paper. So if that case, we could make him swear, then certainly, and what's the chiddush then? By the case of pro-game star, a person comes with a contract that says 100 and says, it says 100, but the other guy really paid me 50. In that case, we make him swear that the contract is correct, and he only owes him 50. He's only owed 50. So here, with a perfectly good contract, we make him swear that he's owed. Then certainly in this case, what's the chiddush? What's the insight here? What's the novelty here? That if he pro-game star, he said it's not accurate what it says. It's really only 50 that is owed, even if it's not to his favor. And certainly there we make him swear. What's the distinction between the two? What's the distinction between the two cases? Yeah, sure.
Teretz asked me for 100 shekels. I'm holding a star, the parrot owes me 100 shekels, right? Now, in this case, this parrot has got the star, parrot has got the star, he's claiming you've got the star, the 100 shekels that I borrowed from you, I've given it back, because you've got the star back, right?
Right.
This is what it's saying here. It's saying that the one who produced the document against his fellow, saying that he has not paid. You've got the star. You don't get the star back unless you've paid the money.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So what is the case here?
The case is
why
here.
I not believe?
That's the other way around. You're still holding the star.
No, the one who produced the star saying he's got the money. He's paid it. He's paid it. He's got the star in his hand.
Yeah, yeah. If he's got the star in his hand.
Yes, which means that you only get the star back when you've paid the money.
Yeah, we're talking about a case
Yeah.
where
No, it says here,
where I
if one
did,
produced a document against his fellow, against you, it's paid, it is a paid document. It's a paid document. You're producing it to the court.
No, it's not. Haiman da'afik shal chavre. But Amarle, he says to him, Shtar Peruhu. It's paid up.
He told the defendant, you're not believed.
I know which line you're on. Can I see it inside of it?
It doesn't make sense. Unless I'm reading it completely wrong.
Where is it? Over here? Amrav Papa? Okay. Amrav Papa. Haiman da'afik. One who produced a document against his fellow. And the fellow told him, Star Peru, it's a paid document. In other words, I paid you already.
Yeah, the defendant's paid it.
Yeah. And he says, Lav kol t'minach. You're not believed. Zil shilim. Go and pay.
Why doesn't he believe he's got the star in his hand?
No. The person who says it's paid up. The person holding a star. Let's say Peretz is holding a star of 100 shekel.
Right.
Really good. And he says, you owe me 100 shekel.
Yeah.
And it says it's paid. You say, Perua, it's paid up. And the court tells you, we don't believe you. You have to pay Peretz. That's what it's saying. Because he's holding a seemingly legitimate document.
Who's producing the star?
Peretz is the owner of the star. As you don't mind, Peretz. Yeah. I think what's not clear is who's saying what to who. Yeah, who's saying what to who.
well, there's literally brackets. But if
Peretz is saying it's a paid.
No, you're saying it's a paid document. Peretz, the owner of the document, says, you owe me 100.
It's a paid document.
You say it's a paid document. And then what is the Bezdin says, we don't believe you. Yeah, there's
We
no,
tell the defendant,
work out-
which is me, you are not
Yeah.
believed.
he's not believed. The person who says it's paid is not believed. You are not believed to say it's paid. He's holding a contract. The only thing we do, what we add is that you can tell Peretz to swear to you that it's a paid. But the pronouns are very tricky there.
yeah, that's why they put in brackets. Defendant and plaintiff.
That's right.
Yeah, read it again.
I don't remember who the plaintiff and the defendant is. Defendant is the guy who owes the money.
Yeah.
The plaintiff is the guy claiming. The claimer and the claimee. Okay.
Nowadays, they use claimants.
Claimants. Okay.
Plaintiff.
Oh, okay.
Inverted commas,
I never learned my old French. I see occasional Rashi.
which means that the guy who's holding the document said the money has been paid. Which
No.
is the defendant, not the plaintiff.
And it's that
Yeah.
you're telling me with the plaintiff. The
It is a paid doc- it is the defendant is saying it's a paid
Right.
document.
yeah, but we don't believe him. The defendant is the guy. Yeah.
What you need to do, is fit in the word
Okay.
defendant and plaintiff,
We tell the
Where it's got
defendant
fellow.
you are not believed.
beginning of.
It's too many fellows here.
Okay, fine.
Fellows. Okay.
Chavera.
Chevra. No, Chavra, yeah.
Yeah, because the word cover would be
Friend.
either side of the argument.
Right.
That's where the ambiguity is. And then the art scholar is very helpful. Then says, who is who, the defendant and the plaintiff.
Yeah.
Right? But they should have put that in brackets after the word cover.
Right.
So then
Right, that would be
follow
helpful.
through.
Yeah, if they have a picture with arrows, hey, Mr. A, Mr. B.
It's what
Yeah.
they do very well.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the cases where they needed 2 extra words. They would have avoided that. That's confusing.
Right, I understand.
I
Yeah.
mean, I also thought you were saying, then when I read on and I saw in brackets, Then I went back and I reread it.
Right.
Like, I've gotten on what's happening here.
Right. There's no commas in the Gemara. That's sometimes makes things difficult.
Yeah, he who.
Yeah.
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 Who he.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to try to make the distinction between. We're trying to make a distinction between the two cases. We said two cases here. First case was a case of our case. He says, "You owe me 100 shekel." He says, "Here's the document." The guy denies it. Either he pays up. He says, "So pay up." Yeah, here's a document. Instead, he says, "No, make him. I want him to swear to me, so we can make him swear." So, what's the distinction? There, he's a perfectly good star. We make him swear. By the case of star pogum, where he produces a star that is 100, but says it's not really 100. The owner of the star says it's really half paid. So there we make him pay. Well, there seems to be a distinction. That seems pretty obvious. The second case, the first case, you make him swear. Then certainly the second case. So Amr lay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the last narrow line, last letters on the line. Amr lay Hasam. There afagav de lotoin ihu taninan le'anon. By the case of the star parua, where he says he brings a document, a star, to court that says he's owed 100. It says, but it's really only 50 because the guy paid me 50. So there it's weakened. It's pogum the star. So since it's so weak, if the second guy doesn't say, swear to me that it's still a good star, the court goes ahead and makes the guy swear for him because it's such a weakened star, a weakened document. Halcha, by our case, where he's holding a perfectly good star, says 100 shekel. Arminan lay zil shalim. We may say, go ahead and pay. He's holding a good document. Zil shalim lay. Go pay up. Pay him back what he's owed. V'tain v'amar ishtabali. But if the defendant says, well, swear to me that I still owe you this money, Arminan lay zil shtaba, then we do make him go ahead and swear. Shtabale, zil shtabale. Go make him swear to him. So in other words, the distinction between the two cases is when you have a legitimate, perfectly good 100 shekel star, for example, we say, the court says pay. And only if the guy says, well, I want him to take an oath that the star is still good and he owes me 100, then we do. But if he comes in with a pogum star, sort of a damaged star, it says 100. He says it really means 50, the owner of the star says it really means 50, it's already damaged. So even if the defendant doesn't say, swear to me that it's still good, the court makes the guy swear that it's still good because of its the questions on the star. Okay, fine. VE, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up, second word in. A fourth to last narrow line, second word in. VE tzur v'mirabananhu, and if the fellow's a Talmud Chacham, lo mashbinan lay, then we don't make him take an oath in that case. So wait a second. Well, why is that a heter? Why does that work? Samale Rav Yemar Rav Ashi, tzurmer brabanan mishlak lima de inche. See, a person that he takes people's coats off, he just takes away stuff from them. He gets away with this in broad daylight. No, it says ela lo mizdakinon le ledine. No, the case is that he says the case is like this. He's holding a star that's 100 shekel, right? Perfectly good star. The other guy says pay up, and the defendant says no, I paid you already. That's not enough. You're arguing no witnesses, no nothing against a perfectly good contract. We make you pay, but we say you can tell him, swear to me that I still owe you what it says in the contract, and I still owe you that 100, and he would swear. But if we make him swear, if the defendant wants him to swear, we make him swear. But if he happens to be the person holding the star in the contract is a Talmud Chacham, we don't make him swear. That means we give him a choice: either swear or you don't get your money. Not that we're playing favorites. We're just saying you don't have to swear. It's not beneath your kavod. But if you don't swear, you don't get your money. So it's not really favorite. It's not favorite. It's not really not a distinction. It's just we save him from the uncomfortableness and the inachut. Yeah.
Rabbi Tucker says science fiction.
Kanye the Rava, that's my favorite case. Yeah. The cane of Rava. Yeah. Gosh, people come up with all sorts of tachbulot, all sorts of schemes to get out of, to have their 150 shekel. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go to the last case here. Okay, last narrow line, Manali Biyadcha. Okay, Okay, so here we are. Last narrow line. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Asi. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav Asi, Hamalvas chaver be'edim, someone who lends his friend money in front of witnesses, tzarich lefroa be'edim, has to pay him back with edim, has to pay him back in the presence of witnesses as well. The Rashba says it's almost like a tanai, almost like a condition. Since you're stipulating that you brought two witnesses to begin with, which is not required, but a good idea. I'll do more than that too, and then the amount. So it's sort of like a tanai, stipulating that this transaction has to be done with witnesses. Since you did the initial transaction with witnesses, so the payment, the completion of the transaction has to be with witnesses as well. Okay. Ki amrite kami de Shmuel. When it's said in front of Shmuel, I think it was Yehuda's Rebbe, I believe, Amr Li, when I said this in front of Shmuel, he said to me, Yachal Omer, you're not really solving the problem, because Yachal Omer lo, he could say to him, the person who's owed the money, he could say, Prasicha b'fnei ploni ploni. Oh, you're right. I'm supposed to pay you back with witnesses, and I paid you back with witnesses. And they went off to Spain, wherever they went off to Turkey. They went off to somewhere where they're not coming back soon. So that doesn't really help necessarily, says Shmuel. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so now we come to the question. So now we're going to ask a question based on our Mishnah, on the second to last line. In the Gemara, second to last line. It says the following. We're going to ask a question on this. We said that if you lend with money, you have to, with witnesses, the presence of witnesses, you have to pay back the presence of witnesses. We're going to ask a question for our Mishnah. Tanan, I learned in our Mishnah. Monali biyadcha says, you owe me, you're holding on to my money. Amr lo, hey, you're right, I do. I have to pay you back. Lamachar, the next day, Amr lo tenehuli, says, give it back to me. And he says, Nasati v'lach, I already gave it to you. Pater, he's off the hook. Doesn't have to pay. Well, wait a second. V'hacha, in this case, here, kivan the tavi'e be'edim, the tave be'edim, kiman da ovse be'edim dami. The katani pater. Here, since he is claiming it in the presence of witnesses, as Rashi says, v'hodu lo b'fnei, he admitted that he owed it. Rashi says, kiman da ovse be'edim dami, as if the initial loan was done with witnesses also. Kiman da ovse be'edim dami, as if you did the initial with edim. And here he says katani pater. Here he says he can just claim that he paid back, no witnesses. That's fine. Why is that true? If we say when you lend with witnesses, you have to pay back with witnesses. And in this case, you make the claim and he admits that he owes in front of witnesses. That's as if you lend in the first place with witnesses. And yet we say you can just claim the pater, the claim that he paid back without witnesses. So that would seem to say that if you make the loan with witnesses, you don't necessarily have to pay back with it. What's the distinction? So flip the page. Place mark here too. So
You paid it privately. How do you prove that?
Right. So he's so the thing is that he would say, since he's pater in this case from a shua in this particular case, because he already claimed he paid it back. It's pater from paying him back, from a shua rather. Sorry.
And what falls that has this on him?
So no, let's look back to the Mishnah for a second. Let's remind myself too. Back to the Mishnah for a second. What did the Mishnah say? Okay. Big Mishnah, somebody heard that. Marli biyadcha, Taneoli, Elevated. No, it's the wrong case. Where's the case? Mana li biyadcha, Amala hain, Lamach Amala Taneoli, Asati lach pater. He's pater from a shua. He's off the hook from a shua in that case. We don't make him take a shua in that case. He's pater from, sure, we're not talking about a shua hesses here. We're just talking about a regular shua. We don't make him take a shua in that case. We're not talking about the Duraban. We're just talking about the Diraisa. So he's pater. But the point we're trying to get at, is that we're saying that we don't say to him, the case right afterwards, where he says, right after this, he says, pay me back my money. He says, yeah, I owe you money. Next, and then he says, when you pay me only with witnesses. And he says, the next day I paid you, he's chayav. He has to pay because there was no witnesses. But here in this case, there's no stipulation of witnesses to be paid back, and that's good enough. The problem is, why is that good enough? 1 second, wrong page. Question is, why is that good enough? We said if you lend with money with witnesses, you have to pay back with witnesses. And here, he comes over to him and says, pay me back. He admits in front of witnesses. That's the equivalent of lending in the first place with witnesses. And yet, when he pays him back, he says, I already paid you. If we require witnesses, it's not enough to just say, I paid you back. You have to have witnesses there to be good.
So in that case where there's no witnesses in it and it's potter, then he could take out a private claim. For example, we go to Beis Din and say, look, I lent him money, he hasn't paid me. And the Beis Din make a Shavuos.
And based on making sure we haven't gotten to that yet.
Because it's the same thing as the Shavuos.
He says, you owe me money.
In the first case,
You didn't. It would seem that they're abundant. We might be able to make him take a shul in that case. I don't know exactly. I haven't viewed the. I hear why, but it's a good. It is a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. We may discuss. We didn't maybe on previous. We'll see as we go further. Right? And I'm only up to here. So, but we're talking on the level of the Araisa. That's the start of the Mishnah, the Araisa in the Torah. So we say Tiyufta the Ravasi. It seems to be a refutation to Ravasi. So Amar Ravasi. Anna ki amri hecha demi kara osfe be'edim and loli dehim himene hacha ha himne. So Ravasi says the following. Says no, there's a distinction. In the case where he said from the very start, he said, "Pay me back with witnesses. I'm lending with witnesses. Pay me back with witnesses." So he didn't say that, but that's almost as if when he makes him from the very get-go, from the very start, he says, "I'm only going to lend you with witnesses." That shows he doesn't trust it. Therefore, when he pays back, he has to pay back the witnesses because he doesn't trust it. There's a lack of trust there. But when he lent initially without witnesses, and only when he claims it, he admits in front of witnesses, there's no initial thing where he believes him, that he doesn't trust him. He believed him in the first place. When he pays him back, he can even pay him back without him, because he never demonstrated he doesn't trust him. That's the distinction between the two cases. All right, so if the case is, he said initially, pay me back. He says initially with witnesses, it shows lack of trust. When he pays back, has to be with witnesses too, lack of trust. If he paid, the initial loan was given without witnesses, that shows there is trust. When he says, you owe me, and he says, yes, I owe you, even in front of witnesses, there's no lack of trust there. When he finally pays back, there's no need for witnesses because he trusts initially. So therefore, he'd be pater, at least on the level of the Torah, from taking it off in that case. Okay, good.
It's a combination of quantity of money lent and what degree of trust.
And that, yeah,
Right.
Small amounts, you're not going to bother.
right.